Hello friends and members of Skyland United Methodist Church. In this video I'm going to address my current thoughts on getting back in the building. It's going to be a longer video than I really want it to be, but that's by necessity as the complexity of getting back into our building has increased over time. So I'll share a bit of the thinking that has gone on within church leadership, both locally and denominationally, and walk you through what it might look like when we eventually get back in the building. In 1739, John Wesley started to meet with people who wanted to live a Christian life. John Wesley came up with 3 rules for these people that are still applicable to the people called Methodists. These rules are: first, do no harm; second, do good; third, attend to the ordinances of God. These rules are guiding our bishop and our superintendents as they consider how to lead our annual conference and all its churches. Especially that first rule, do no harm. We're to ensure that one first before we get to the third rule about attending the ordinances of God, and also known as having corporate worship. Attending worship with other people in the same room for an hour, where there's a lot of singing, handshaking, and hugging, turns out to be a very high-risk activity for infection by the novel coronavirus. Before we start back up, we want to be sure, to the best of our ability, that we first do no harm. This is not an economic interest or a political interest. This is theologically how Methodists go about life together for the benefit of all of our communities. Having considered Wesley's general rules and having considered the laws of the state, our annual conference is now recommending that United Methodists refrain from holding gathered worship in our buildings through the month of June. Now, does this mean we can plan on holding worship on Sunday, July 5th? No. We might, but it's not a guarantee. We have to see how things unfold. For one thing, the conditions within North Carolina can change. This timeline is all predicated on the state statistics moving in the right direction. Secondly, we at Skyland have to be ready to do worship by a new set of standards. Many interconnected moving parts make worship possible. COVID-19 has changed how we think about almost every one of these facets. About the only decision we haven't had to think about was what street address we were going to meet at. Preparing for worship under COVID-19 is a whole new thing. We are making the path as we walk it. Let me walk you through what a typical Sunday might look like at Skyland in the era of novel coronavirus. Let's start with your own self-evaluation. For this example Sunday morning, you need to ask yourself, are you at risk for complications if you should contract the virus? If your answer is yes, then you should stay home. Some of you have told me that until there's a vaccine, you won't be coming to worship. I want you to hear from me that that's more than fine. Everyone's level of comfort with coming back to church is going to be different. I'm going to rely on you to make the best choices for your particular circumstances. If you decide to stay home to protect your health, you don't need to apologize to anyone or give excuses to anyone. I fully expect less than half of our normal attendees will show up in the first month of Skyland holding worship again. We're most likely in this online worship game for good now, so if you do elect to stay home, you can still watch a recorded version of worship on YouTube. We are not set up to live stream at this time, and we currently don't have any plans to live stream. Perhaps one day we will, but for summer 2020, expect to see us on YouTube and on our website and Facebook page. Well, let's continue our example Sunday. A few days before the worship service, we would very much like for you to make a reservation. Seating is going to get funky, and to help us manage the unknown and to maintain social distancing, we need to know about how many people to expect. We are likely to begin using the online software Eventbrite to make worship reservations. The church will provide a link to make your reservation, and you tell us which service you are planning to attend and how many are in your party. Our allowed attendance, our capacity, will fall within a range. If people only come by themselves, we can't seat as many people as we could than if everyone came in families of 8. We know it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Reservations will thus allow us to begin to roughly estimate the capacity for that given service. It is possible that you may go to make a reservation and the service is at capacity and you won't be able to get a reservation. Reservations will also give us a record of attendance in case there is an outbreak of the virus and we need to participate in contact tracing. We're going to start out with 2 services, one at 9 a.m. and one at 11 a.m. The services will be the same in style, and both will be held in the sanctuary. The time between the services will allow for people to leave the 9 a.m. service and not have to run into the people attending the 11 a.m. service. Okay, so you made it out of your house and you drive onto the church lot. Think about where and how you want to park to help your neighbor maintain distance. We'd like you to park in every other spot. Leaving a spot between you and your neighbor will help maintain good social distance. So now that you're parked, you can put on your face covering. We will be asking everyone who attends worship to wear a face mask. Unless you are under the age of 2 or unless you have a medical condition that prevents you from wearing a face covering, we will ask you to please wear one. If you forget, no problem. We're planning on having a stash of clean face masks that we will give to you. Now, you're walking to the church building. Please use the main entrance under the portico. The ushers will be there to see that everyone doesn't have to handle the door. Using the same entrance will also allow us to take attendance and lead you to the sanctuary past some new signs that we'll have. Give the usher who is taking attendance your name, because they might not recognize you under your face mask. The signs that you pass will remind you of what you already know. Please wash your hands. Please don't touch your face. Please maintain 6 feet of social distance between people of different households. If you are not feeling well, you should go home. If you've been with people who aren't feeling well, you should go home. The signs will also remind you of the color of the service. To keep 6 feet of space between congregants, each pew will have a color designated by some construction paper or painter's tape. If it's a green service, then sit in a green pew. If it's a blue service, then sit in a blue pew. We may even get fancy and have a natural service where everyone sits in a pew left unmarked. But you get the idea. As you walk down the colonnade, you may notice that there's no furniture. That's on purpose. We don't want to encourage anyone to linger or mingle. Sounds strange, doesn't it? So we're going to move all the furniture into the fellowship hall, which will be closed along with all other parts of the building. Get a squirt of hand sanitizer if you haven't already, and now make your way into the sanctuary. Now the service begins. The music will be either instrumental or by a soloist. Singing turns out to be a high-risk activity for spreading respiratory droplets. Think Daffy Duck. We won't be singing together for a while. Hymnals and Bibles will be removed from the pews, so if you want to read along in the scripture or doodle, you'll need to bring your own Bibles and crayons. I'm planning on holding a 30-minute worship service. This will limit our time together and keep exposure down. The offering will be a stationary piggy bank. It won't actually be a piggy bank, but you get the idea. If you want to make your offering that morning, you can drop it in before or after the service, or you can continue electronic giving online. There will be no passing of the peace or greeting time. No child care will be offered. We will try to have a children's time during the service, but all the children will stay in their pews. After the service, we will encourage you to use all of the available exits in the sanctuary. In between the two services, the pews will get a wipe down, as will frequently touched surfaces. I'm planning that this sort of worship experience will continue for the foreseeable future. I hope that gives you some idea of what we're thinking and helps you to set your expectations, because things won't be like they were before the pandemic. Of course, we all need to be flexible. As we've seen over the past 3 months, things can change quickly. For instance, if North Carolina has another outbreak, we will go back to holding services online only. Thanks for lasting this far into the video. I'm sure I've forgotten something important. I just wanted to get you the gist of things. So keep reading your newsletter on Fridays. Keep watching your email for special announcements, and consult our Facebook page and website. And of course, you can always call or email me with questions. I pray that you all stay safe, and I am very much looking forward to being with you again in worship, as I know we will be. Keep one another in your prayers. Keep considering how you can be the light of Christ in our community. Peace be with you.